that I will never know what would have happened if I tried harder. And that guilt keeps me up at night, and it pays my therapist really well. And you could say, but it's so much healthier for your kids to model better relationship behavior. And, your kids don't want to grow up in a household where their parents are fighting either. Well, you know what they don't want? They don't want to commute back and forth between parents every single week.
Proven that you cannot go milk your happiness from somebody else. You have to figure out what gets you out of bed in the morning, what your passion and purpose is, what you want to manifest out of life, what you feel like your goals and aspirations are. Only you can decide what that is. And the silver lining in divorce is this is the time that you get to decide all those things. This is the time that you get to reinvent yourself. This is the time where you get to decide what the trajectory of your entire life is.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, before we move on to the video, I'd just like to say, guys, that as mentioned in previous two videos, you can email hidanpov@gmail.com to send me any question, any request for a TikTok cover, or anything for the special video of 10K subscribers. Few people have already messaged me. I'm just delaying the video for 1 or 2 days more, so a lot more people can message me. So again, guys, if you want to be part of the 10K subscriber special video in which I'll be reading my email, you can email hidanpov@gmail.com with any question that just isn't personal, because I will do that in the future. You can tell me a story about yourself, you can share something, your thoughts about the red pill or whatever. But with that being said, guys, now let's move on to today's video and see why so many women are regretting divorce.
For all those mamas who are thinking about leaving their partners and getting a divorce, here's some things that you probably haven't considered. And I want to preface this by saying, if you're in a relationship, or if you have real reasons to leave. Like, this video is not for you, okay? But if you're like,
I love how she herself categorizes it as if you have real reasons, meaning if your husband is, hitting you, being really abusive, then those are the real reasons. But then, of course, you have the unreal and stupid reasons, which are the spark isn't there anymore, or I'm pulling all the emotional labor in the relationship, that are still valid in those women's eyes, right? They're not real issues or real problems that, you can't get through, but they're still equally as, as acceptable for these women.
One of many women who get to like the 7-year mark, or you're in the early child rearing years, and you are just fed up and you're starting to resent your partner for everything, and you don't feel like you're in love anymore, and you're thinking, my life would be so much easier if I was just alone. Here's some things you should know. First, you get to do all the housework now. And I know you're thinking,
oh yeah, you know what I'm thinking? I was just thinking how everything that you're gonna mention as, wow, I am sorry that I got a divorce because now this happens, everything will be superficial. And everything will boil down to finances and work, right? That's all that these women will be upset. I haven't watched the video, I can tell you right now. She's not gonna say, I'm sad that I lost my husband. I'm sad that now I get to be alone. I'm sad that he's sad, like something regarding love. But no, guys, let's watch the next minute or two. She will say how she misses the big house that she lived in and the guy paying for the bills. Let's watch if she proves me right.
I already do all the housework now. That's the whole reason I'm resentful. I cook, I clean, I take care of the kids, I bear all the emotional labor. Well, guess what? When you're a single mom, you really do have to do all the work. Every load of laundry, every pair of socks that needs to be put away, everything that needs to be scheduled. It's all on you and only you when you have the kids. And guess what? You don't do everything. Are you cleaning the gutters? Are you changing light fixtures? Are you fixing the plumbing? If you are, kudos. I wasn't. And guess what? I live alone now, and now I have to do all that shit. Number 2, financially, it's gonna suck for you. I don't have any real support for this, but I heard somewhere, so it must be true, that women are financially worse off when they divorce their partners. It prevents you from being able to take other positions in your company, or maybe even other jobs, because 9 times out of 10, you're the primary caretaker for your kids. So you can't take that job that has you traveling, even 3 times a year because you have to work that out in your childcare schedule. So most women have lateral moves, and it takes them a lot longer to financially get where they would be if they stayed married.
It's almost as if the duties in the house have to be split between the two genders, almost as if, right? Like living alone was never meant to be the case. That's why, historically speaking, we didn't have single person households, right? Because it's just not worth it. And even from an emotional perspective, you just don't want to be alone because we are social creatures. So this woman at least realizes, the losses of the divorce. She regrets the divorce, not for the right reasons, that is, right? It's all coming from a selfish perspective of, oh, I didn't win the deal, right? I didn't get the better end of the stick, right? That's all she cares about. But still, at least, I'd rather have that any day of the week than a woman saying how she's empowered and liberated, yet at the same time she cannot fix the sink and she has to call a bunch of men to fix things around the house.
Number 3, and this goes along with it, you're going to spend more money. I just let my kids buy the movie Gran Turismo on Amazon because it's the second day I have them out of a 4-day stretch, and I feel like I haven't connected with them, and I feel bad for leaving their father, so I'm just spending money so that they'll love me. I'm also now single-handedly paying for a mortgage on a house that I probably can't afford, but would have been rolling in the dough if I was sharing this with their father. Number 4, dating. Dating sucks. Now listen, I have a boyfriend and he is amazing and he has kids and I have love in my heart for his kids and he has love in my heart for my kids. But you know what he's not? Their dad. He's not their dad. And he's never going to be their dad, even if we were...
Yeah, guys, so again, this woman says a lot of true things mixed up with the nonsensical reasons why she divorced. But yeah, you just never will be the father of other children. You could fill in that role, and some guys are doing it, in a great manner. But I would say, if you ask me, those are the rare exceptions. In a lot of the cases, the kids don't respect the father because they have grown, up until an age where they realize this is not their father, right? And a lot of times they will not respect you. If you come into these single mothers' lives, the relationship will just feel, disconnected. And it's just overall not a great thing. And, what you can't do, no matter how good you do as a stepfather, you'll never be as good as the initial father could have been, right? But do you agree with that, gentlemen?
Were to get married and he was to be a stepdad, he is never going to give them the love that their own father has. And I'm lucky to even be in a relationship because when you are single in your late 30s, early 40s, it is slim pickings. And number 5 is just the soul-crushing guilt that you feel every day for disrupting your children's lives. And look, the reasons I got a divorce are really none of anybody's business, and I know that there is...
Yeah, translation, there are none. There are no reasons why she got a divorce, no real reasons at least. She could be talking, but if you ask this woman, if you're Becky, her best friend, she's gonna tell you, well, I divorced him because I was, doing all the mental labor in the relationship, and all the weight was on my shoulders. Yet she could never tell you anything specific because the reason why she divorced and the reason why a lot of women divorce is just emotional. It's on an emotional, level. Right? There's no real problem to be solved, and that's the thing that a lot of men are missing. A lot of men are asking themselves, why, did my wife leave me? Why did the relationship break apart? And they're trying to find something specific, because men, they are problem solvers. They like to fix things, work through things, but there is no reason. The reason is she just didn't feel good in the relationship. What can you do to fix that? In most of the cases, nothing. First off, you're not a therapist, right? Even if you are, you're not born to be someone's therapist and guide them through their mental nonsensical problems, right? That falls on the person who has those problems in the first place. Second off, even if you could do all of those things, a lot of times it falls on the woman, right? Or, well, the person that is having the problems. Because a lot of the times, guys, these women, they will never solve their problems. You know, no matter who you put them with, they are just emotionally unstable, or they are addicted to anxiety, or they didn't have a father figure to, you know, lead by example and show them what type of man they should be dating, right? It's like these women have problems that you cannot solve. And this is why a lot of men are walking away from marriage, because you're just risking it, man. Even if you know the woman, like, who can promise you that this woman will not change, or that she has some, you know, inner problems, some mental problems, some emotional, psychological problems that will, you know, pop up, show up 7 years into the marriage, and she'll just feel not well. You know, when you try to talk with her, you try to work things out, but she just doesn't feel right. And a lot of men are facing this, where, you know, they are trying for months or even years at a time to make these women feel good, doing a lot of things, but these women, they're just, you can't satisfy them. So, you know, the guy withdraws, he is tired, you know, that his efforts are not showing results. He spends more time with his friends, or, you know, playing games, because he doesn't want to be, you know, in a marriage where they feel disconnected, and, you know, both people just, you know, get colder with each other, and it results in a divorce. And what are the reasons? Well, the spark was gone, is what women will tell you. Meanwhile, the real reason is they just never felt good in that relationship, and they were never meant to be part of a marriage, right? And again, these problems stem from, you know, years back, but regardless of the situation, it falls on you. If you are the one who has problems, you have to fix them. But guys, what do you think about that as well?
There's no evidence that my life could have gone any other way than the way that it has gone. But I will never know what would have happened if I tried harder. And that guilt keeps me up at night, and it pays my therapist really well. And you could say, but it's so much healthier for your kids to model better relationship behavior, and, you know, your kids don't want to grow up in a household where their parents are fighting either. Well, you know what they don't want? They don't want to commute back and forth between parents every single week. They don't really want that either, turns out. So listen, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. My ex is exactly where he's supposed to be. We're healing, we're happy. But ladies, think about these things if you're thinking about getting a divorce.
Yeah, so guys, before we move on to the next TikTok, this woman, not the worst I've seen, right? I mean, some pretty disgusting things, but again, just that have that any day of the week rather than these entitled women. She realizes the divorce was bad. She realizes, she thinks about the kids and realizes this is worse for them, and that they will never have the father that they did. And she even admits that if she tried harder, she would have maybe made that relationship work, which is true for most of the cases. Just try harder. You know, there are people that are just, you know, there's no solution to the problem. There are men who are abusive, or they start drinking too much, you know, like there are real problems. But just not getting along together is not a unsolvable problem. And it can be worked out in a lot of the cases by just having some communication, making some compromises, and just having an attitude of, I promised in front of society that I'm not going to leave this person, and I won't, no matter what happens. Of course, if he starts, you know, beating me up, I'm going to leave him, but I'm going to try all that there is to try before I leave this person. If you have that attitude, you will see that most of the problems can be solved, in fact. But now, guys, let's move on to our next TikTok.
A huge mistake that I think a lot of people make after getting divorced is feeling like you have to fill the gap of what you lost in order to be happy again. So you lost a husband, a partner, a relationship. So you feel like you have to have a man and a relationship in order to be happy. And let me tell you why this doesn't work. 2 reasons. First, and this is a little bit of a harsh truth, but the men that you want, the guys that are the caliber that you deserve, are not even attracted to women who don't know how to make themselves happy. When they start to feel that pressure of she needs me and I am solely responsible for her happiness and she's not going to be okay without me, it is like an emotional vampire to them, and you stop becoming the amazing, nurturing, incredible woman that they wanted in their life, and you become a life suck. So then
I don't agree with that. Like, yes, men do feel repulsed by women who are desperate, but that is in most of the cases women who are over 30 and they've been messing around for the last 10 years, and now they are desperate to have a you know, a relationship just for the financial support, yes, those are life-sucking vampires. But you know, the fact that a woman realizes her need of a man is not something that turns men away. In fact, it's something that men want. You know, they want a woman who is attracted to them, who gives off signs that she will be loyal because she understands the, you know, how important the relationship is. So I don't agree with that. You know, men are actively chasing and looking for women who only want to be with one person, and they need him for the real reasons, not just for money and seeing him as a walking ATM machine. So yeah.
Start to pull away and it gives you anxiety, so you push even harder, and that's how a lot of toxic relationships are born. So let's avoid that. Number 2, it is proven that you cannot go milk your happiness from somebody else. You have to figure out what gets you out of bed in the morning, what your passion and purpose is, what you want to manifest out of life, what you feel like your goals and aspirations are. Only you can decide what that is. And the silver lining in divorce is this is the time that you get to decide all those things. This is the time that you get to reinvent yourself. This is the time where you get to decide what the trajectory of your entire life is. And so if you try...
No. So I'm not buying this whole idea of you will resurrect like a phoenix from the ashes, you know. You made this mistake, but now you're born again, even strong. And no, cut the crap. You are worse off than you were before. The time for you to figure out what you want in life is before you get married. Guys, are we really, you know, that off from the idea of a marriage lasting forever? That we are saying that life starts after your divorce and that now is the time? When did the times go where marriage was supposed to be forever, you know, for your whole life? Like, I remember, guys, you know, that it was like 50, well, don't remember, but it was like 50 years ago, a century ago. Like, it wasn't 2 millennia ago, right? But now we live in this society where, you know, people are just accepting of the fact that, hey, life is all about, you know, trial and attempt, and you can have 7 divorces behind your back. It doesn't matter. You're just gaining more experience. I mean, it's all the better. The more you have, it's all the better. Well, no. You're going to be worse off in life because humans are not meant to be dating around 300 people. You cannot split your attention when it comes to, you know, romantic things. You cannot split your love. This is why polyamory doesn't work. I mean, it's proven so many times that it just doesn't work because you cannot split your love. You cannot split your attention. You know, humans by nature are monogamous. We're not animals that just, you know, want to impregnate every living being of the opposite gender. We're not animals that want to, you know, that just want to continue the genes forward. No, there is a lot more things to it, like care, nurturing, you know, loyalty, trustworthiness, right? You can't just simply get a divorce and act like nothing happened. It always breaks you. It always takes a part of you. You know, it builds these trust issues. And all those things, guys, you know, I think you know what I'm talking about, so I'll not develop further. But tell me if you agree with me. Now let's continue.
And outsource that power to somebody else just for temporary filling of a void so that you can be happy. Eventually, it's not going to be enough. And trust me, I get it. I was married for 12 years and we have just this need for companionship. We have this need to come home and have somebody to talk to about our day and to sit there in silence and watch New Girl with and just have somebody to just have there. And sometimes we mistake it as that's what we need to be happy. And although I think a lot of those things can definitely add to your happiness marginally, it cannot be the sole source of if you're happy or not.
Yeah, so what exactly makes you happy or not? You didn't answer that question. You just blabbered about random things, yet you didn't ask, what exactly do you feel the void that your divorce left within you? You know, and how exactly do you find happiness? Of course, she doesn't know. She couldn't know. Because this person just gives me major vibes, I'll use that word, that she's one of these hedonistic people that just look for a person in their life to, you know, fill in a certain social aspect that they need, right? Oh, I need my man, you know, it's good to have companionship so I can go back home and we can watch this movie that I like or whatever, and, you know, he can provide for me and validate me and give me attention. You know, there's just no talking about how relationships are important or you know, what do you provide to the other person. There is just I need this and it's good to have this, and now that I don't have this, I'm missing out on whatever, right? It's just all about herself. It's all about I need to filling that empty spot that this person left with another random person. Not even names given, like we don't care who the person is, just we need somebody to provide something to us. It's predatorial, and it's you know, like a parasite. You know, if a parasite could speak, these are the things that it will say. Guys, I'm a strong believer, and we'll end the video with this. I'm a strong believer that in life, it's all about giving, right? You cannot be happy if you don't give. If you think all the time about what you can take, you're going to be miserable. This has been proven time and time again. People who live only to take and to win from others and to live off their backs, they're not happy, right? And it's the same with people talking about happiness all the time. People who talk about happiness all the time and they only think about happiness, and if you are in a relationship with me, you have to bring me up all the time. If you think about happiness so often, like all the time, it just means you don't have it, right? Like people who are satisfied with their life, they don't think about happiness all the time, or they're not all the time trying to get more. Right? So it's like the first indication that a person is unhappy is him looking for happiness all the time. In the same way that a person looking for validation all the time, it just shows that they feel pretty miserable with themselves as individuals. But guys, leave me your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you for watching this video, and me and Ampu are gonna say farewell to you. Have a good one.